You know, Jaws is one of the most iconic, not just horror movies, but movies in cinema history. And since it's marked 50 years, 50 years, that's a long time. So it asks one question after it's had 3 sequels. Does it need another one? I mean, let's be honest. The 3 sequels that did spawn from the Jaws franchise, they weren't all that good. And they kind of left a stain on the Jaws name. So, the question is, should there be a new Jaws movie that could maybe fix the stain that's been left on the name Jaws? Or should it just be left alone and we can all just sit and remember the iconic original? It's a tough one, huh? I mean, let's be honest. As cool as it would be to see a Jaws movie in full 4K with today's cameras, I mean, if we really wanted to see that, technically, we could watch movies like The Meg, or, just to get an idea of what it could have been like. But I think, in my opinion, Jaws should have been one of them movies that should have been a one and done. Same as other movies like The Exorcist, you know? The more you think about it, when Jaws released, it was a huge success. I mean, it terrified people out of the water. And then, for some reason, they made the second Jaws. And then whenever it came out, it just didn't quite have the same soul. It was missing that simplicity. The first movie was simple. It was about three men sailing into the sea to find a shark. That's it. And the shark terrorized people on the beach. It's such a simplistic plot line. Sometimes, if the plot line of a movie is just simple, it can be enjoyed a lot better than a movie that tries to throw everything but the kitchen sink. You know what I mean? So, and I didn't like what they did with Chief Brody in Jaws 2, making him out to be the town nutcase. Like that beach scene, he's getting everybody out of the beach with a gun because he actually did think he saw a shark. And that was down to PTSD, which the people in the city, in that little village, knew. They knew about it. So, that, for me, that was and of course Roy Schneider did not want to be in that movie at all. So there's that too. But look, overall, Jaws 2, it was alright. It wasn't the worst. It was definitely the best sequel. Put it that way. It held its own. Had a few flaws, but it held its own. And of course, they couldn't have just left it there. Oh no. I think the Jaws franchise would have been fine if they had stopped at Jaws 2. If they had just left it there, people would have said it was 2 solid movies. But They saw money signs in their eyes and they said, nope, we need a sequel. And they did. Jaws 3. Now, don't get me wrong, the concept of Jaws 3 I did like. You know, a shark breaking into like a Sea World and, you know, people being there, tourists. I like that, I do. But the execution, it was bad. The really bad, poor 3D effects they shoehorned into this movie was rough, and it did not age well at all. In fact, it's probably the worst looking Jaws movie in the whole franchise. Now, I've heard people argue with me saying, no, the shark in Jaws 4 looks worse than Jaws 3. In some cases, yeah, but practically, perhaps, but you can't say that the shark in Jaws 4 is worse than the 3D garbage that we got in Jaws 3. And hey, everyone's entitled to their opinion. That's fine. I'm entitled to mine. You're entitled to yours. That's the beauty of movies. It's wonderful. If we all had the same opinion, the conversations, they'd be boring, right? So, yeah, it looked rough. It didn't age well. That scene at the very end of it with the two dolphins. Oh God, it makes me laugh every time. It's rough. So the end of that, cool concept, poor execution, and then they decide to make a fourth movie, and they bring back Ellen Brody, one of the only actors that was in the original movies, like they could get back, and the second one too. And look, the story of Jaws 4 is way more ridiculous than Jaws 3. You know, like they made a shark have a personal vendetta against the Brody family, and then they said that Chief Brody was killed off because he had a heart attack out of fear from the sharks. Bullshit! He fought them twice and won bravely. Otherwise, he would have had a heart attack way in the first movie. Makes no sense. So that was bad. And then they decided to do all these ridiculous things. The shark even roared like a lion at the end of the movie. Get the fuck out of here. What? No. So, after Jaws 4 was finished, that was it. That was the nail in the coffin for the Jaws franchise. And this lay dormant for many years now. And the only one that people really think about is Jaws 1. And the only reason they're going to think about Jaws 3 or even 4, it does have some fans. It's only down to nostalgia. That's it. So, it asks the question, after all these years of laying dormant, should there be a Jaws 5? Would a Jaws 5 fix the franchise? Would it repair the damage that the sequels made throughout this franchise, throughout Jaws, the name Jaws? And the answer, for me personally, no. Personally, I think it should be left alone. And like I said, it should have been a one and done, but they saw money and they decided to make more. So a fifth movie sounds cool, and it would be nice to see how they would handle it with today's cameras and today's effects, practical effects. But let's be honest, today it would probably be all CGI. That's all it would probably be. Who knows, it could turn out worse than 3. You know, I mean, just look at It Chapter 2, the state of it. because of the CGI. And they will do the exact same probably if they did make Jaws 5. So, yeah, the best thing they can do is leave it alone. Let it just gather dust. And we can only remember, you know, the amazing effect that Jaws had when it came out 50 years ago. That's still crazy, 50 years ago. The effect it had on people, you know, scaring people out of, staying out of the sea. You know, the groundbreaking effects that they could do with a mechanical shark. Bruce. The acting was phenomenal. It was unlike anything anybody had ever seen. And I wish that's all they had stayed with. But, you know, some people have fond memories with these movies. You know, some people will tell you that 4 is their favorite. I put a poll up. Now, which is people's least favorite Jaws movie? And some people actually selected the original Jaws. So, you know, everyone has their own flavors, their own personal favorites, and that's wonderful. You know, so Jaws 5, should it be made in the modern era of cinema? No, I don't think so. It should be left alone. And let's just remember the 50 years of Jaws movies that we have and celebrate them, even the bad ones. But yeah, so that's what I think. Well, let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Do you think there should be a 5? Would you love to see a 5? Let me know. We can talk about it. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I wholeheartedly appreciate it, and I appreciate each and every one of you. And yeah, you know the score. Don't kill anyone.